Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
And that's the point, right? To be prepared when those opportunities come. And that's when, that's when you've prepared and the opportunity is there. That's what I call luck. It's like, I was lucky that I prepared for this shit a long time ago.
It's not something outside of you. Like, it's something intrinsic. Like, you generate your own luck by being prepared.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
Here we are. It is the Making Waves VO podcast. Kevin Kilpatrick here in Nashville, along with my good friend, my work wife, and my partner in work crime, Bobby Maxwell. Bobby, how are you?
I'm doing good, and officially, Happy New Year.
It is a great new year, isn't it? It for most of us in the voiceover world, we are going to address something that needs addressing coming up in just a second. But how is 2025 treating you so far, Bobby?
It's been great. Work-wise, it's been really, really good. I'm excited about what's to come. You?
Yeah, me too. I've got plans on the horizon. I've got things I want to tackle, goals I want to attain. And I'm just 2025 is off to a great start. It's busier than I expected, which I'll take that any day of the week. So I'm very excited about what 2025 brings.
We're going to thrive in 25.
Absolutely. P.S. The
That was
Making
so bad.
Waves VO podcast is presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
And we are so excited to have our very first guest of the new year, ladies and gentlemen. He is a musician, he's a poet, he's a voiceover activist, and a voice actor. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Matthew Slim DeReason Parham. Matthew, welcome. How's it going, man?
I'm pretty darn awesome. How are you?
I'm good. Is that intro accurate? You're a musician, a poet, a voiceover activist?
Yeah, that is
All these things, right?
right. All the above. That is true. It's weird when you hear it back like that, but yeah, it's true.
I love it. And I'm going to let Bobby take over because you guys know each other from Cincinnati, right?
Well, we just met each other a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Simply by happenstance. You had reached out to some Cincinnati voiceover talent and had requested a get-together, and our Cincinnati VO talent happened to be already having something scheduled. So we all came together and had a great night, and Matthew got crazy drunk, and he was dancing on the table.
Wow. We weren't going to talk about that because of the restraining order.
Wow.
But
Wow. I guess what happens in Cincy does not stay in Cincy.
not anymore. Thanks, Bobby.
Oh, it sounds like you guys had a good time, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It's always it's so funny because to me, voiceover is part of my LA story, and to see this part of my life be reflected back home in Cincinnati over the holidays was just a real full circle moment for me. So it was absolutely amazing.
That's great. Can we get into the Matthew Slim DeReason Parham, backstory on how you got into voiceover from music?
Yeah, you want my villain origin story? Sure, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, a very, very long story short, I do music out here. I've done hip hop, rock and roll, and so I connected with a really cool jazz hip hop ensemble, a 15-piece jazz band by the name of the Urban Renewal Project. So I connected with them and became part of the band about 7 years ago. And so I rapped with the band, and one of those musicians in the band was a Mr. Tim Friedlander, who was the,
Wow.
the
Oh, you didn't tell
president
me
of
that part.
Nava.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so after being bandmates for 5-6 years, right after the pandemic happened, I randomly went to his studio, as we had done millions of times, to record music with the band. But the whole band was late except for me, and the day before, Tim had a session. And I knew he did voiceover. That was his thing. And, it was never something I really thought about. But he had a session the day before, and there was copy laying all around the studio. And so I just picked up the copy and was like, Tim, what's this goofy voiceover stuff that you do? And I started and I started reading it. And he was like, whoa, you don't suck, is what he said. And so he was like, you have a natural knack for it. You clearly understand it. And if you do X, Y, and Z and coach with this person, you can be really good. And so I just did it. And it met me more than halfway. I started booking immediately. I just got an agent within like the first 6 months. And then shortly
Wow.
after that, he founded Nava. And so he asked me like, hey, you're new, you're hungry, you're more diverse than the rest of us. You have a whole different perspective. The rest of the board had been part of the organization or part of the industry rather for 15 plus years. He was like, you're new. Would you be a board member? And I said yes. And then Nava continued to grow, and here we are.
Wow. So did Tim do your demos and everything?
Yeah, he did my first demo.
Nice.
Your work sounds great, man. And I've listened to, a good majority of your work that you've got posted online. And I'm like, I recognize that spot. And you sound fantastic, man. You've got a great natural sound. And going back to the music thing, we have a lot of listeners. Should we call you Matthew, by the way, or Slim? Or what do you want us to call you? Mr. Parham?
I prefer Your Highness. But
Your Highness?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But Matthew's fine. Most of my friends who know me from music call me Slim or Reason. But
Okay. And I figured Slim was probably from your musical background and that side. Is that accurate?
yeah. I want to bring all parts of me into voice acting. I didn't want to like segment myself. My musical journey and my poetry, everything I was before I started voiceover is the reason that I'm having success. And so I didn't want to like not include that. So I added my
Perfect.
artistry name.
I love that. And that's what I was going to bring up in terms of your success and your immediate success almost in this is that a lot of musicians translate to this really well because you have a background in performance, first of all, and you understand the dynamics of performing and emoting and trying to get your viewer or your listener to appreciate your message that you're trying to convey. And that's what voiceover is, right? And did you find that did you feel the transition pretty easy?
Yeah, there's some unique things to voice acting that you have to, learn specifically about this industry. But yes, there was a large transferable skill set that I just had to adapt to voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, there were some really hard habits that I had to break. Like I had a very overly rhythmic cadence that
Yeah.
I still speak with naturally. And so breaking that natural poetic rhythm that I have, that was a hard thing to kind of break in my commercial reads.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
Hi, this is Kate Neelan, voiceover actor, the one with the microphone. And you are listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby, you lucky, lucky sausage. I love them. I love them so much. Enjoy.
You know what I love about Full Compass, Bobby?
What's that, Kev?
All the sales. And they are having a winter clearance sale going on right now at Full Compass where you can save up to, get this, 83%.
Wow.
Bobby, my Arkansas high school math skills may be wrong, but to me, that's a lot.
That is a lot. 83%.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, I'm looking here. They have a lot of speakers that have been marked down. They have a Mackie 1600 watt speaker that's, 45% off. Very cool. They have Yamaha speakers, 66% off. Nice.
So what we do in our world, we need gear, right? We need it all the time. Sometimes we want to upgrade. Maybe you want a new interface. Well, check this out. You can get a new interface on sale right now, a Universal Audio Volt 476 for 35% off.
Wow.
35% off. Now that thing lists at $459, and so now it's $299 for a limited time. That is a great deal. There's other interfaces on sale, but all kinds of gear for everything you might need in your studio.
And don't forget that Full Compass always has the low price guarantee, and they have a free 2-year service and repair plan. Plus, they can do free shipping on orders over $49. This is an amazing sale.
If you have questions about your purchase and you want that knowledge, that feeling of knowing that you've got the right thing for your needs, call and talk to one of the friendly professionals there at Full Compass at 800-356-5844. Exceptional service since 1977 at Full Compass. FullCompass.com.
We know VO. Now back to the podcast. So you came into this at a perfect time because, the whole conversational, you've got that down. I don't hear any announcer in you whatsoever. And the whole slam poetry thing started getting big about, 5 or 6 years ago. So that benefited you as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely was. Part of success is luck and timing. There's just
Yeah.
certain things you are just beyond your control. And I always say, like, you can do all the rain dances that you want, but it won't rain in the middle of December. It's like you have to wait for spring in order to get that rain. And so it's like certain things are just seasonal like that. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like the season met up with my approach.
And that's the point, right? To be prepared when those opportunities come. And that's when, that's when you've prepared and the opportunity is there. That's what I call luck. It's like, I was lucky that I prepared for this shit a long time ago.
It's not something outside of you. Like, it's something intrinsic. Like, you generate your own luck by being prepared.
That's it, 100%. That's a great, that's a hot take right there. What have you been working on, though? Where have you found your success? I've seen your reels and you've got a lot of commercials out there. You doing video game work as well?
Yeah, I did. I've done 3 video games so far. 2 of them are Stargate. Remember Stargate?
Yeah.
So they've got some MGM produced some games from them. So I've done 2 Stargate games as a playable character, and then there's an upcoming AAA game that is highly anticipated that I signed NDAs for that I
Of
can't
course.
talk about, but it's one of my favorite franchises, one of the biggest franchises out there. It's a crazy, crazy franchise, and I'm just really excited to be like my first AAA game to be at that level.
I love that you're not giving any hints, because that would get you in serious trouble. But I love that. So games, video games, you love that? You've grown up playing them?
Yeah, I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. Like, got this Super Nintendo and PlayStation for Christmas from my parents. And like, like I definitely part of that millennial generation where we grew up equal parts outside and inside. And so inside was definitely playing Nintendo, Super Nintendo with my sisters. And I grew up a gamer. I'm not like hardcore, like surrounded by Mountain Dew bottles and Pringle cans and like not seeing outside. But like I do enjoy gaming for sure.
This is a true story. I knew a kid. I call him a kid because at the time he was like 13, 14, and this is a story I heard later on in his life. Boy, he was hardcore into gaming, so hardcore that he created a pee corner in his room. And this is like
No.
I'm not joking. And he, instead of leaving the game, he would just go pee in his corner really quick and get back to the game. I'm not kidding. That's disgusting. Squirrel moment. Sorry. But anyway.
Yeah, you just gotta have a
So
catheter.
you're not one of them, Matthew.
Gaming catheter?
Right? A gaming catheter. Depends for your gaming solution.
Oh, Lord. Are we going there?
So you're saying he was a gaming whiz?
Yeah, a gaming whiz. Ew. Ew. Good stuff. So you're not that hardcore.
No,
Okay.
hell no.
So what other genre? I mean, you're a is that correct?
I don't know if I could talk about that publicly, but yeah, I'm freelancing with
Okay.
a higher end agency, I'll say.
Okay, so you will have so many opportunities with them. So what genres are kind of on your radar that you haven't quite yet booked yet?
You know what's absolutely insane? Like I'm relatively new to the industry. I just completed my 3rd year, so I'm entering my 4th year right now, which is insane. And
Yeah.
so I'm still discovering my way. I'm still trying to find like new avenues. Like animation was a stretch for me. Video games is a stretch for me because my home was commercials. And so like now I'm trying to do narration and e-learning just to see if it's for me. So I would like to do a little bit of everything except for audiobooks. I said it. Yep, I said it.
Yeah, that's fine. There are a
I'm
lot of
with
us
you,
that are
man.
like that.
I'm with you.
Yeah, that's funny. And I saw your piece on it was the history of hip hop, right? On MTV?
Yeah. The history of how hip hop went global and the history of old school hip hop from MTV.
Yeah. Was that a sample piece or is that something you narrated? Was that broadcast?
Yeah, I narrated. It was for their digital series. I'm not sure exactly
Nice.
where it ran, but I know it ended up on their YouTube for just posterity. And so, yeah, that was a full form. That was my first narration.
That's awesome. So for anybody that is into the history of hip hop, tell them where they could find that.
It's on the MTV YouTube channel, How Hip Hop Went Global, and the history of old school hip hop. If you just search for that on the MTV's YouTube, you can find it there, which was a full circle moment for me coming from hip hop and poetry and spoken word, like having a love of hip hop and doing hip hop growing up. Um, to be able to like pay homage and honor such a lovely craft through my newfound career of voiceover. I mean, you talk about authentic casting, man. It was like
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
it was
you're the
perfect.
perfect narrator for that, you know. And that it's what I heard. It sounded like you were loving what you were doing.
Yeah, I truly, truly loved it. That was one I was extremely proud of and sent to like my older cousins and sisters who showed me hip hop and like gave me that music growing up. They were really proud of it too.
Hi, I'm Lacey Deline, voice artist and producer, and you're watching Disney Channel. No, huh? Podcast. Making Waves. Oh, Kevin and Bobby's thing! Whoops.
I could totally hear you on promo because promo has really evolved. It's also become pretty conversational, especially like sports promo. Could totally hear you, Matthew, doing that stuff.
Well, I have to give a shout out to Joe Cipriano, the promo king.
Yeah.
I've been taking his master class, and I mean, it's by far and away the best educational module I've been a part of, whether in person or online. Like, it has changed the game for me. And so, yeah, promo is something I want to get into, and by the time I finish Joe Cipriano's masterclass, I might be further ahead than I was.
Isn't he awesome? He's just the best.
I love him, like, just as a person, as a talent, just everything about him. He's deserving of all the accolades and awards he's been getting lately. He deserves the success that he's had in his life and his career. He's just a really good person. I love Joe.
Yeah, he's one of the great people in this industry, and it is an amazing industry that we're all part of. And speaking of that, there has been, as you know, the wildfires have been happening in Southern California. And Matthew, you live in that same area. First of all, I want to ask about you personally. A, are you okay? And B, I gather that Nava is stepping in to try to help some folks. Can you talk about those 2 points, please?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for asking. I really, really appreciate it. I'm okay. Um, Most of my friends are okay. I live closer toward like the airport in Inglewood, and so it's a little bit more landlocked and more of a concrete jungle around my way. So there's not all the
Okay.
shrubbery and foliage that catches fire easily. So we're okay. Um, but yeah, it's absolutely devastating. Um, it's not quite as as ubiquitous and everywhere like the news makes it seem. Like, you might think the
Mhm.
whole city's on fire, and
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
yeah, and make no mistake about it, it is devastating. There are tons of people who are impacted, but it tends to be concentrated in two main areas. There's the Pacific Palisades and the Eaton Fire, which is like Pasadena and Altadena.
Okay.
If anyone knows about the geography of LA, like, it is extremely spread out, and so it is large acreage of land that is being devastated and burned, but it's, it may be 50 miles away from me. And so
Okay.
it is part of LA. It is absolutely tragic. But there's a lot of the city that is okay. And it's really beautiful to see that the parts that are okay, the people who are safe, are coming to the aid of the people who are not. And so it's a lot of donation efforts across the board. Nava, as you mentioned, we do have our California Wildfire Fund, where we are collecting donations, and everything's confidential. So if you donate, it's confidential. And if you also ask for aid, it's confidential. And we're just trying to do what we can to protect our community. And so if you are a voice actor who has been impacted by the wildfires, please, please go to novavoices.org. And there's a button right at the top that says ask for aid. You just click that, no questions asked, put in a request amount, and we'll send you the money, no questions asked. And that's just our way of trying to do what our mission is to protect and support voice actors, whether it's AI, whether it's wildfires, whether it's predatory contracts. We just want to show up for the community in all ways, in all facets. And so this is just our little way of putting the fire out.
Yeah, our prayers are with everybody, including voiceover talent, because I know it's a bad day again today with the Santa Ana winds, and you just never know.
It's terrible. The air qualities. I have like 3 air purifiers going in my house at all times.
Oh wow.
Just because even though we aren't impacted by the fire, the smoke and the air quality is just horrendous. And so,
Oh, I bet.
yeah, you can feel it as someone who's in tune with their instrument of their voice. You can feel it, when you step outside for more than 5 minutes. And so, wearing a mask, we're back wearing masks, and
Mm-hmm.
and having the air purifiers and just limiting time outside. So it's even if you're not in danger of the fire, it still impacts you in ways that you don't really think about.
So if you want to help, you can go to navavoices.org and contribute or submit a request to get some assistance right there. And this is a great community that we're all involved in. And Matthew, you've been doing this for a few years now, and maybe some of this advice is still fresh in your mind. Can you think of any advice that you got from a veteran voice actor that resounded with you? You were talking about Joe and his guidance. Have you gotten a piece of advice that has really helped you in your career thus far?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. It's hard to just think of one or two things because I am extremely blessed to have one of my bandmates and best friends be, Tim Friedlander, and then also the vice president of Nava being Karin Gilfrey, and to be in constant communication with them two, with those
Yeah.
two at all times as we work on Nava. And so I'm able just to throw a question in here and there, or just hear conversations. And so I realize that my perspective is unusual, but the through line that I've gotten through everyone's words of encouragement is just authenticity and the power of authenticity. Just not trying to be a chameleon and not worry about doing all the funny voices and characters, like like that. What people think voice acting is, it's like just
I do a
bringing.
great Darth Vader impression.
It's right. Or everyone's got a Daffy Duck. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
so just realizing like the best voice that I can bring to a session is the voice of Matthew Parham, and letting that
Mhm.
be enough, and not having
Yeah.
to code switch or inflect this way or that way, but just being me and let that be the starting point, and then add other ingredients as needed, but don't go too far away from like my base.
Yeah. Well, you're being very humble. I mean, talking about getting inspiration and encouragement from other people, because you had to also have that to be a unicorn finalist. So somebody had to send in that letter saying that you've helped them or you've helped the community or Nava or whatever it be. So congratulations on that first.
Thank you.
And I know with the unicorn program, they kind of divvy up the prizes. How has some of those prizes helped you in your career? Because there's some pretty nice things. Oh, by the way, Kevin, Matthew and I are going to Italy together. And,
Yeah.
What?
yes.
You're stepping out on me, Bobby?
I know.
She's mine
With
now.
slam to reason?
Join the club, Kevin. There's a lot of people who have been.
Hi-yo. Hi-yo. That's another episode,
What does
man.
that mean?
Well, I'm just going to take what I picked up from it, and we'll move forward. And so Italy, Matthew, going to Italy for a JMC conference, I guess.
Yeah. So thank you, Bobby, for mentioning the Unicorn Award. It absolutely was a game changer for me. And that was part of the prize pool, is that the three finalists, which were myself, Zeke Alton, and Lindsay Russo. Zeke was the winner of the trophy, deservingly so. But instead of just all the prizes going to one person, us three come together and we kind of just pick and choose or go in rotation of what we want from the list. And I have to give credit to Zeke and Lindsay, being the absolute leaders and veterans that they are. They turned to me and said, Matthew, you were deserving and you're newer than us. What from this list do you need? What
Aw.
do you want?
Wow.
And so they gave me first pick, despite the
Wow.
fact that I didn't win. And I'm eternally grateful to Zeke and Lindsay for that, because that changed my life just as much as meeting Tim Friedlander and being in a band with him changed my life. Like it really changed the trajectory of my career. And so, yeah, going to Italy for the JMC retreat is one of the things that Zeke blessed me with.
That's going to be great, man. You're going to get so much out of that. It's going to resound with you for a long time.
I
So
can't
congrats
wait.
on going to that, man. It's going to be a blast. And the fact that you're going to have Bobby there to, support you and be there, because, she's an OG veteran of these things. So she's going to have a lot of answers for you.
And Cipriano's going to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And Celia Siegel,
I'm getting FOMO.
Carol Kimball. Yeah, it's all-star
And is that
ensemble.
this coming year? This is this spring?
Yeah,
this fall.
October.
Oh, the fall. And so, Matthew, are you going to be at VO Atlanta again this year?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I will be there, and it's hard to believe, but I'm actually teaching this time. So
Really?
yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
I know. Who did
What
I
do you got
pick?
going on?
I'm teaching a class. Me and Yinka Ladende, we are co-teaching a class together called The Beginner's Blueprint from No to Pro. So I'm really excited about that. Then we have our Nava AI panel, which I'll be there with the Nava board team. And then I'm
Nice.
also doing another panel about diversity is awesome. That's with JP Carliak and the Queer Box team, Jazzy Frizzle and from Voices of Color. And then I think
I'm laughing because I know Jazzy Frizzle, by the way. I've done some classes, workouts with her. She's
Jazzy's
a hoot.
amazing.
Yeah.
Jazzy's amazing.
Yeah, she's great.
And then a few people from the Disabled Voice Actors Database. So we're doing that panel. And then I also have one which I'm moderating. I'm very proud of. It's called Melanin on the Mic. It's about
I like that.
Yeah, I came up with it myself. Thank you.
Nice.
It's the African American voice acting experience. And so I'm moderating it. And we have Portia Scott, Donovan Cornitz, Shaquana Bell, Michael Scott, Rebecca Lee, Stefan
Dang.
Johnson, and Dave Fenoy are on the panel.
Nice.
So,
Wow.
yeah, so I'm really excited
Very
It's an
about
cool.
that.
esteemed panel. That's great stuff, man. Well, thanks for all you're doing in the voiceover world, and looking forward to hanging out with you again in Atlanta.
I'll let you buy me an old fashioned.
Hey, hey! Somebody knows I like bourbon.
Hang around. We'll be back shortly.
Well, hello there. I'm AJ McKay, voice actor, demo producer, and audio engineer. And you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with my good friends, love these guys to death, Kevin Kilcarney and Bobby Mayswell. What's that? Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Whatever.
Full Compass is your one-stop destination for cutting-edge audio, video, and lighting solutions. With nearly 50 years of industry expertise, we offer a vast selection of high-quality equipment, from microphones, recording interfaces, and software, to audio accessories, monitors, headphones, and other pieces to help you find your ideal sound. Our trained product experts are here to help every step of the way with unmatched customer service. You'll also get free same-day shipping, flexible financing options, and a low-price guarantee. Visit us online at fullcompass.com or call 800-356-5844 today.
Making Waves returns. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so much fun. Well, what's in store for 2025 for voice actor Matthew Parham? Like, what goals do you want to attain?
Wow. Well, that's something that I've been trying to focus on because I have put a lot out and been of service and haven't put a lot into myself. Like, I spend a lot of time. The vast majority of my time goes to working with Nava and responding to crises and helping voice actors in need, and just emails and meetings and meeting with politicians and representatives and senators and all the stuff that we do, and traveling to conferences and tabling. And I just put a lot of energy into the community. So if anything, this year looks like dedicating a little bit more time to myself, to do my auditions, to go to my coachings and trainings, and just be more present in my own career. I don't mean to sound selfish, but
No, you got to be.
yeah, I just want to spend a little bit more time with Matthew and like in my booth with my microphone, doing my scripts and participating in the industry that I try to protect.
Yeah, because you've probably just scratched the surface on,
Oh, yeah.
on your abilities, Go for it.
Yeah. There's much more to discover. Like I said, I'm just entering my 4th year, and I'm just now really at the point where I can control what I hear and like how I sound, and like, really change and fine tune the knobs. You know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
I'm just now having a certain level of control. Like, I just hit that 2nd, maybe 3rd level of control of my voice. And so I just want to spend more time with my voice and finding it more.
Yeah, and exploring what you love. Yeah.
Can we go back to, you briefly mentioned it there, going to Washington. Can you tell us what that experience was like to actually were you in the Capitol building? Where all did you and Karin and Tim meet the politicians?
Yeah, we have done 3 rounds of meetings on Capitol Hill. And so it looks like waking up, meeting our DC team and connections, and going back and forth between the Representatives House and the Senate House and Senate buildings, rather, and going to different meeting rooms, specifically sitting with senators and representatives or their teams in their offices. And so it is mind blowing and it is wild to be literally in the rooms where it happens and meeting with these powerful figures and the other staff members that they have who really run the show. Um, and it's encouraging and it has shaped me in ways that I didn't know. It made me grow in ways that I can't believe. And so, you have basically 10, 15 minutes at the very most to meet with these representatives because they have, all the stuff that they do as politicians. And so you have X amount of time to meet with them. And so it's caused me, Tim, and Karin to really hone in on our messaging and cut through the fat of like, hey, this is what we need specifically from the No Fakes Act. And so the first time we went last year or a year and a half ago, it was just meeting with people about the voiceover industry in particular and the threat of AI in general and how it could be a problem and what we would like to see for solutions. And there were maybe 3 or 4 different bills at the time that potentially could address the issue. The second round, it had been focused down to the No Fakes Act. And so that's when we really met with the writers of that bill and just tried to address a couple of like gaps in it and things that were a little bit too ambiguous, especially when it comes to voice actors. And then this last round, the No Fakes Act had really had more bipartisan support. A lot of people were behind it. And so we spent even more time just drilling down into the details and really pushing for support, especially with, changes in administration and just really making it an economic concern and not necessarily just an ethical concern. Right? Because if you think about the fact that voice acting is a multi-billion-dollar industry and AI doesn't pay taxes. And so you're going to really kick the legs out of the economy if you impact voice actors to this degree.
And that will get their attention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, that was smart.
That's great.
Smart.
That's great. Thank you for doing that, man. And thank you for being part of a change for the better and making this world that we're in a dream. But we don't always have dreams here in the voiceover world. Sometimes we have nightmares. And Matthew, before we let you go, we wanted to ask you, and I know you've only been doing this a handful of years now. You're just kind of getting going in your voiceover career, but maybe you can go back to your music career too. But do you have, by chance, a nightmare session story you could share with us where a recording session or something like that, maybe it couldn't have gone much worse?
Nightmare Sessions!
I've had somewhat of a charmed existence in voiceover thus far, and knock on wood, I don't want that to change. But I've had basically like traveling so much is one thing that really puts a hamper on my ability to record flawlessly. Most of us get to sit in our booths and be in our comfort environment, but I have to travel so much. And so there's this past round in DC, I had a session booked last minute from an online casting platform, and it was like client was willing to pay $1,000 in the next 5 minutes if you can just send a sample. Sent the sample, booked the session, and had to record. Now I don't have my sound. I don't have my soundproofing. I don't have all the things that I need. So I'm in my sister's closet because I was staying with her in DC. I'm in my sister's closet, like with her wedding dress and like my brother-in-law's blazers tossed over me, like huddled over my Sennheiser. Like I'm holding it, trying to stand still so it doesn't jostle while reading the copy. It's just the client accepted the audio. Like everything went fine, but it was just the act of like having to literally juggle my laptop, hold the Sennheiser, like be smothered by all these dresses and stuff. But
get
that's
used
the
to
beauty
it,
of
man.
Exactly, right? Like,
get used to it.
That's the job. So
Yeah, you're just praying that some appliances can kick on or something like that.
Yeah, or my nephew doesn't come in like trying to play football with me or whatever. So that's the craziest thing I've had to deal with so far in voiceover. But
Oh,
I
wow.
take something from my photography career where, I had a client reach out to me and she went to like a lifestyle fashion shoot um, in Beverly Hills, which I should have known then. It should have been an issue. And she just would not listen to direction. She thought that she could just pose or do whatever she wanted, and that would be okay. And no matter what picture I took, I had the best lens, I had the best camera. I know what I'm doing with as far as photography and angles and composition. But every picture I showed her, she hated it. And there was nothing I can do. I know I had technically done everything and had checked all the boxes, but it was something on her end, something that she saw within herself that made her unhappy with what she was seeing on camera. And so I realized, I can only do so much. If I show up, I check all the boxes, I do my part. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. It's not always my fault.
I love that. Yeah, and yeah, voiceover is the same. All you can do is bring your best self and,
Yep.
let the chips fall where they may. I think there's, we've been talking about this recently. I think there's plenty of work for everybody. And I just think we're all incumbent to get our own work and hustle and get out there and get after it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Matthew, I know you try to get out into the other communities away from LA for Nava exposure. You did that in Cincinnati. Kevin and I would certainly welcome you, and we'd throw you a big dinner and party on the tabletops too in Nashville. So make some plans to come down here
Yeah,
to
man.
Music City.
We definitely are. That's part of our initiative this year is to respond to the request for Nava on a local level. And so, that was why I did that in Cincinnati. Tim, during the holidays, traveled up the coast to Seattle and back and stopped at a few places. And so, we're doing some informal things like that, but stay tuned for more formal Nava local initiatives coming soon. So
Nice.
Nashville's at the top of the list.
Yes.
love it. Yeah. Matthew, if somebody wanted to check out your music, how could, can your music be heard online anywhere?
Yeah. I've pulled down a lot of stuff because you don't want what you were talking about in your 20s to be heard forever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the band that I have, the 15-piece jazz band, is called The Urban Renewal Project, and we have an album coming out this year. So check out The Urban Renewal Project.
Very
Love
cool.
it. And what about for voiceover work? How can folks reach you?
Check out my website, MatthewParhamVO.com. Send me an email if you need anything Nava related or voiceover industry related. I'm always available. Matthew with 2 T's, Matthew@NavaVoices.org. And on social media at SlimDareason, SlimDareazon, on all platforms except for Twitter because I refuse.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that earlier today. No more Twitter.
No.
Well, man, thanks for your time. It was a blast getting to know you, and we really appreciate your time on the Making Waves VO podcast, and we wish you much success for 2025.
Thank you. I wish the same to both of you, and thank you so much for having me. It's not oftentimes that people reach out to me specifically. This is only my 3rd time doing a podcast, so thank you very much for just seeing me. I appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure. Thanks.
Well, that was so much fun getting to know Matthew Slim Dareason Parham. He's a great guy.
I was so worried we were going to have to call him that whole thing, a whole
Yeah, every
podcast.
time he's like, most voiceover people call me Matthew. My music friends call me Slim or Reason. So
Right.
I wondered about that. But just so happy for his success. And it's
Yeah.
great to get good people in the industry have success, isn't it?
Oh, it sure is. I'm so happy for him. And gosh, this is just the beginning for him, I have a feeling.
Yeah, and it's a great time for him to be in VO because of the authenticity that is being sought right now, and he is very real. And we wish him much success and looking forward to seeing Matthew in Atlanta. And Bobby, we have got, and now, so Matthew has been doing this a few years now, and next week we've got a guest that has been doing this for a couple of decades now.
Oh, yeah. And we had Bill on in 2024 to talk a little bit about political, but his big thing is marketing and coaching and his YouTube thing. And we're going to bring him on for a full episode. And I know he's got some surprises in his career. And we'll talk about all that next week.
Yeah, it's going to be a great episode. And Bill, Bill's a friend of ours. And Bill, though, is polarizing to some in the industry. And we'll cover why on the next episode of the Making Waves VO podcast. Until then, Bobby, the Making Waves VO podcast is presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
See you next week.
See you, Pam.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.